The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order! The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Big Ben Hassler is presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Hassler. Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice, Hell on Reels. Today we are hearing the case of The People versus Leprechaun in the Hood, a 2000 comedy slasher film about three wannabe hip-hop stars that steal an enchanted flute belonging to a being that's magically malicious. For those of you unfamiliar with our spooky court proceedings, quiet, you guys, quiet, order in my court.
Joke was terrible.
For those of you unfamiliar with the spooky court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of the sin of being a bad movie. If so, it shall be cast for all eternity into the fiery pits of movie hell, upon which this courthouse just so happens to be built.
Convenient.
Mr. Conor McGiffin, you are appearing on behalf of the prosecution. You may begin with your opening statement.
I am indeed. And may I just say, it's so wonderful to see all of your beautiful, handsome, gorgeous faces this very evening.
I want that stricken from the record.
Oh, I should be taking a record. I'm sorry.
I have an LP. Does that count?
Our stenographer's too fast. It's already in the record. Please continue, Mr. Conor.
The Leprechaun series, a varied, vast film saga spreading 5 films. And today we are focusing on the one that features the Hood the first time. And may I just say, when you combined an antagonist who is not frightening, if you combine that with protagonists who you do not like, in a setting that is lazily built, and a plot that makes you go, huh, what? It all comes together to make something thoroughly unenjoyable. When you have male characters who treat female characters like props, and the filmmakers themselves treating those female characters like props, you also have another recipe in the stew, in the cauldron, that makes this terrible film. I would like to say that I will be proving through my case that this movie does not deserve to be laughed at or feared. It does not deserve to be in the same category of horror comedy as Evil Dead 2 or Reindeer Games.
Yes.
And I do not believe the defense will have any defense worthy to sway your vote. I rest my opening statement. Thank you very much.
Ooh,
Thank you, Mr. McGiffin. Appearing on behalf of the defense, it's Miss Emily Marsh. Please present your opening statement.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Now, you've just heard from the prosecution some very lofty language, some very big talk about what makes a good movie. You know, good props, good sets, all these kind of highbrow things. But you know what? I think the heart of a movie really is the star. And who is the star of this movie, ladies and gentlemen? Warwick Davis. Mm-hmm. Now, we have to remember, Warwick Davis, famous for his portrayal in Willow, all the way to Harry Potter, is a treasure, to say the least. He elevates this movie from being just a normal comedy horror movie that we would forget, such as Santa's Sleigh, if anyone's familiar with that work.
Goldberg. I love that movie.
But this elevates it to a more memorable kind of film that lasted clearly through 5 iterations and one after this movie. I would say that this is because Warwick Davis's performance in this movie actually makes it a good movie. I would also argue that the role of Ice-T also elevates this movie. There is some real acting happening, ladies and gentlemen, which I will be very excited to demonstrate during my defense of this film.
We do love those exhibits. Thank you, Miss
We
Marsh.
do love films.
Mr. McGiffin, you may present your first exhibit, please.
All right, I will. Exhibit A. I am glad that the defense has decided to start with Warwick Davis, as I too will be beginning with Warwick Davis. Now, I do not want the courtroom today to misunderestimate me. Warwick Davis is, in fact, an international treasure. That is true. However, I will put forward that there is no actor cool enough, scary enough, or well-versed enough to make the following leap off the page. Lep in the hood, out to do no good. Lep in the hood, come to do no good. Now, this is said at the very end of the film. It is the final sequence where the Leprechaun takes over a club and possesses many members of it and begins a rap. And I have to say that coming from the lily white hands of director Rob Spira, it's very clear that he does not understand hip-hop culture to the point of making Warwick Davis comfortable enough with these lyrics. And he pours his heart into this. This is not a slam against world-renowned actor, star of Willow, Warwick Davis, but more of a reflection on how Sisyphean this task is for the man to push up this boulder of trying to be funny and scary, dressed as a leprechaun while rapping. It is impossible. And I would like to ask the court, if that's permitted, did you feel fear when Warwick David asked... Sorry, we try it again. Did you feel fear when Warwick Davis took a joint from Ice-T's hand, took a puff, and said...
Objection! Leading question!
The objection is sustained. The jury cannot use their own testimony in this case.
Aww.
My apologies.
Miss Marsh, was the Lep in the Hood any good?
Here's what I will say. I think that what Conor McGiffin is bringing forward is he is taking this movie, this fun...
Objection, please use my full name. Thank you very much.
Objection sustained.
Conor D. Lawyer McGiffin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did go to school.
Mm-hmm. For you, he's comparing this fun, light movie to the standards of an Oscar-winning film. But here's what I will say. He says a Sisyphean task. But I would take this movie and Warwick Davis's performance and put it aside another great actor of our time, Nicolas Cage. Could we say Warwick Davis's performance doing this rap as Lep is the same level of performance as Meryl Streep would do? Of course not. But did I keep watching it? Yes, I did. And did I watch it for this entire movie? Clearly, a bunch of America did, because they said, we want more. We want more direct-to-video rapping of Warwick Davis. So I'm saying you don't have to say that this was some grand performance that deserves the acclaim of the world. But, America, did you look away? No, you kept watching. And that means it was entertaining and good enough for your attention.
She knows me. Mr. McGiffin, your next exhibit, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary babies of the jury, may I submit to you my next exhibit? For something to be funny, and for something to be scary, the world has to feel lived in. People have to make decisions that, while not having to necessarily be pedestrian real, they have to feel realistic enough emotionally that the audience can nod and say, yes, I will go with you on this next journey. And when the first scene of the film begins with Ice-T and his crony, well, Ice-T throwing his crony through the flimsiest plywood wall inside of a city subway, it immediately loses any tether to reality. Now, I'm not saying that the use of magic disqualifies any film from feeling real, but I am saying using balsa wood as your set does. This would go on to this next... Sorry, if I may. I do not wish to interrupt or offend, but I have another connecting part that would go into this.
Oh, please.
This goes into the next one when we meet our three protagonists, and the DJ of the group is working on chemicals. What these chemicals are for, how they're going to illuminate the rap group to the next thing, how it's going to be a part of their show is never explained, and it is only used as a device for them to fail their audition, and we don't know why they failed their audition or why the DJ is busy tinkering around with chemicals. It is things like that which prevent the jokes from being funny because you know the world isn't real, and from the terror being scary because you know the world is not real. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Marsh, your rebuttal?
Absolutely. So Mr. McGiffin has referred to, of course, the balsa wood sets, the unrealistic expectations, perhaps, of the characters at certain points in this movie. But what I would say is that despite having eccentricities, we could say, that are maybe characteristic of the genre, aka chemicals that they're playing with, ridiculous sets that are clearly not real, over-the-top acting that would be uncharacteristic of the situations. Even all of that to be said, there are some bigger themes that do connect it all together. For example, even the idea that this is a rap group that is not good, that is playing with chemicals, that fails their first audition, even as ridiculous as this is for our comedy, this does lead us in a bigger theme, which is that our main characters have come into this with no talent, and this becomes their journey to success without talent, which, as we know, is a descent into darkness. Which, I'm saying, even on a flimsy set, you can still take away a deep message like that, despite the balsa wood. That's what I would say.
All right. Members of the jury, look really deep inside yourselves while pondering in the deliberation room.
Way ahead of you.
Mr. McGiffin, your next exhibit, please.
Thank you very much. And may I say, you look, at this moment, even more particularly handsome than you did in the previous moment.
Objection!
No, objection's overruled. I won't even hear it. Continue.
This brings me to my next point. Sorry.
You're doing great.
Conor, when you laugh, I cannot help but laugh.
Who would have figured that a film like Leprechaun in the Hood would bring out such clarity from Miss Marsh? And I commend her for trying her best to pull up this film from the depths which it deserves to lie in. But my next point is, though it may be a parable, it's hard for people to take in the message of said parable if you hate the people telling the parable. So, the DJ character, as we hit on earlier today, he is shot at the end of the film, and his last question of the movie is, is there pussy in heaven?
That was my uncle's last words too.
This is a person, and the film itself is obsessed with the idea of men being virgins into their 20s. A highly toxic, highly eroding thought, played for laughs. And the women in this film are not treated much better. They are zombies. They are tools to be used by the villains. And though it may be making a statement, it's not a statement that's enjoyable to watch. We also have to see our lead, by the end of the film, when the lead two characters try to get that magic flute, which we'll be coming to later in the in my arguments, that we have to have a scene with Warwick Davis attempting to get another protagonist as the Leprechaun to jerk him off. And I know he's the bad guy. And I know he's a lascivious, evil, rhyming bastard. But in what world do we want that? I ask you, in what world do we need this? There is no goodly, heavenly reason why we should subject ourselves to Warwick Davis as a leprechaun in a broken Irish accent. Ask for our protagonist to jerk him off. And it is a reflection of
any good reason for this?
it is a reflection of this movie's attitude about women. Thank you.
Thank you. To speak to Conor McGiffin's first point.
Objection, please do not say my full name.
Excuse me. Conor
Mr.
DeLaw
McLawyer
McGiffin.
over here.
Thank you.
Conor de Honey Voice McGiffin. So Conor brings up the point of characters we can't relate to. He brings up the DJ. But is this not a trope of horror movies for generations? We always have the characters who are awful, have done a sin, as we will, and they are punished throughout the movie. But what I thought was unique about this movie is the character of Postmaster P, our quest love of this journey, you might say, and his fall from grace. Now, in a look back at this movie, this simple movie, this movie that doesn't have anything of substance, and yet this movie of little substance made the artistic choice to have our Postmaster P start in all white clothes and transition to all black by the end, showing his fall from grace. So I say this, do we need to like all the characters in a horror movie? No, of course not. That's why we watch, to watch them be punished and to suffer, and we enjoy it all over the place. But we have our main character who we can relate to. This is a movie that is about the dynamic chemistry between Warwick Davis and Anthony Montgomery, a.k.a. Postmaster P.
Objection. I believe Postmaster P is more of the Tariq than the Questlove of the group.
What does that mean?
As Tariq is the lead singer / rapper, and Questlove is more of the drummer / DJ.
I thought the film was about like the chemistry between Warwick Davis and the world myself. So the objection is overruled.
So I would also say that this is a movie that is also about Ice-T's, the beginning of Ice-T as a character on film with which we care about.
Objection. No one has ever cared about Ice-T on film, ever.
Objection is sustained. I said sustained, damn it.
Whoa!
I didn't come.
I love surviving the game. I love surviving
Order
the
in my
game.
court.
No.
How dare you? All the fans of Law & Order can't be wrong.
They're there for Olivia Benson, and you know it, lawyer. You know it, madam.
Look, listen, even
Okay.
Rick and Morty did an Ice-T reference. So you know what? I think he's beloved.
Sorry, I'd like to address the court. I'd like to have my statement stricken from the record. I realize the error of my ways, and I want to formally apologize to Ice-T for besmirching his name.
Okay. He'll expect a nice apology note on his desk by 8 a.m., sir.
Thank you.
Did you have a further argumentation about this flute?
Yes, I did. And ladies, gentlemen, and those who are non-binary in the beautiful, beautiful gallery here tonight, I want to ask you a simple question. How does the flute work? How does the people who are surrounded by Postmaster P get hypnotized and then stop being hypnotized by it? How do his bandmates go from being slack-jawed and turning to him to understanding the power and not being able and not having to be swayed by the power of the flute? It is never illuminated to us how they are able to hear the flute as Postmaster P plays it, for example, in the church, and then not be swayed by its power as well. That is a bit that was completely overlooked by the makers of this film, and I would argue weakens their attachment to the flute.
Miss Marsh, what do you think about the McGuffin presented by McGiffin?
I would like to answer Connor's question with another question.
Love it.
How does the ring from the Lord of the Rings work?
Objection, that's very clear in the film that is presented.
So my question is, does Sauron need to become invisible so he can take over Middle-earth?
He doesn't become invisible in the opening sequence.
It is true.
What I'm trying to
Sauron's
say...
finger, it does not make him invisible. It makes him powerful. It makes everybody else who wears it invisible, but it also draws his attention and his minions to it. It is very clear. It is... You can see how it works. Thank you very much. I leave it to you, Miss Marsh.
I would only clarify is that when we start speaking in absolutes that we need rules, we see other situations where we do not, and we as film goers accept. Did I accept that the flute had some weird magic power that was inconsistent? Yes. Yes, I did. And have I done that in other movie situations? Clearly, yes. Yes, I have. So in this circumstance, having an element that does not quite make sense does not make this a bad movie. Many movies would be bad movies if this was the case. I rest my case.
Well, don't rest it yet.
Okay.
Prosecution, do you have any further argumentations, or are you resting?
I'm checking my notes here, sir. One moment, please. Internal monologue.
Came prepared, I like it.
Profusely.
Wow, he seems to be sweating bullets, guys. What's going on with that?
Very nervous. He seems
Very
nervous.
suspicious.
There'll be no sweating in my courtroom, sir.
But we're over the pit of hell. It's so hot.
It's true.
I did want to say there is something wrong with the central air in this building.
Yeah, that bailiff, he's a lazy guy. He says he'll get to it.
So he's also the super? I didn't know.
Yeah, he does everything here.
A busy guy.
I would, yes. I would like to make my final statement, if I could.
Please.
Humans of Earth.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't the closing statement. This would be any further argumentation.
Oh, I see. Sorry. I think I blew my load there.
I heard your closing statement voice.
Yeah, it was getting ready for it. I
do
not
pass the argumentation to the defense team then. Very well. Ms. Marsh, please present your exhibits.
Perfect. I would present that there is... I said gather my thoughts. It's so much funny to yell at Conor and tell him he's wrong.
You can keep doing it.
Objection. That's not funny. It's actually hurtful. Hurtful. Thank you very much.
As an impartial observer, it was funny.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my final exhibit to bring forward to defend this movie is think and remember the genre in which we are playing. Remember the other films that we are comparing this one to. There are truly, sometimes it's hard to remember what a bad movie is until you try and sit through one that is unwatchable. I would argue this movie is very watchable. There is overall a plot that you can follow. There are characters we can connect to that go through a journey. We see our Postmaster P go through a journey of his fall from grace, if you were, shown by his change of clothes. We also see them destroying their community, as we see with their transvestite friend, the church, and also the people, the businessmen in their community. There are themes here, people. It's actually deep. And at the end of all of that hard thematic work, we also have as a through line just Warwick Davis, who clearly is not being forced to perform this role. This was the 4th time he had done this and still had one more in him. So clearly there is something here that demands to be watched and is actually watchable. And may I say, actually had the classic final horror twist, which was, I don't know if anybody else had this reaction, but when it was revealed that Postmaster P, as he whips off his glasses, did I maybe have a little gasp? Maybe that's overselling it. But did I maybe go, oh, that's different?
Objection, the final twist of the film is when Warwick Davis raps.
Yes, okay. Stipulated. The second to last twist of the film.
The second to last Shyamalan twist of the film.
Yes.
And I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I at least knew the plot enough, cared enough, that I went, oh, so that's what's going to happen here. And I would credit, that means that this movie, I'm not saying a great movie, but scraped itself over the line, did a Hail Mary pass of being passably good in that regard. I rest my case.
Thank you both. Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. McGiffin, you may begin.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. People of Earth, I want to list off a few names of films that are excellent horror comedies that have lasted through the years. Zombieland, Addams Family, Happy Death Day, Army of Darkness, Gremlins 2,
Wait.
and Addams Family Values. They're ooky, and they're spooky. They're silly, and they're fun. You love the characters within them. Have we come to the point now where we have to set the bar so low to make a movie good? Has the bar been taken down to make sure that Leprechaun in the Hood passes through it? It could certainly pass under it because he's a leprechaun and short enough. Be that as it may. We deserve more from our films. We deserve horror comedies that do scare us and make us laugh. We don't want tired limericks thrown in our faces, stereotypes of communities being pushed back at us for laughs, grown men laughing about other grown men being virgins. We have come so far. Do we really want to step back now? one more thing. God, you're all so attractive. I rest my case. Thank you.
Objection! Objection!
You can't object to a closing statement, but Miss Emily, you may present your closing argument.
In a world where we hold on to so little, where labels don't mean anything, where absolutes crumble, we have this movie, this horror comedy movie, which is already in a genre that was itself created because of a movie that didn't quite fit into a genre. We have this movie in horror comedy that is an odd stepchild in this genre. Now, just because it doesn't quite play by the rules of horror comedy, does this mean that we can't find space for it in our hearts and admit that it was watchable? Maybe we can't describe why it was watchable, but maybe it just was. I'm thinking of such beloved other films, such as Birdemic. I enjoyed Birdemic. Did it fill me with shock and terror? No. But did I watch it? And God knows I've watched it a couple times. Yes. And I would say that Leprechaun in the Hood is a more planned out, better form of Birdemic.
I hope so.
That deserves the distinction of being at least a watchable, planned out, good movie. A movie that, God forbid, maybe took me on a journey. Maybe a journey I didn't understand, but I went on a journey. I rest my case.
Thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Rob Maynard, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, and Mr. A Friend with Weed is a Friend Indeed, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts considering this case. It is now up to you to determine that this film is guilty of the sin of being a bad movie, and will therefore be condemned to the deepest, darkest depths of movie hell. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict. Right this way. Bailiff in the deliberation room, back to... that's why my music career never came to fruition.
Finally, a nickname that isn't hurtful. Good one,
Now,
guys.
is the bailiff a leprechaun?
No, he's Scottish, you idiot.
No, that's...
There's no Scottish leprechauns.
correct.
All right.
Those are dwarves.
What a question to ask, Dylan. Are there no Scottish leprechauns? Oh, God.
All right, everyone. This is why we usually don't like having two guests on the show, because they outshine us very, very much. So let's just try to keep it brief. Maynard, give me your thoughts.
I like the Leprechaun franchise in general. I really like the first one. I think the first one succeeds in being very scary while being funny. This one really leaves behind the scary, but I think it intends to. So I think I'm basically thinking of this film as more of just a comedy, right?
I don't disagree. I think that's fair. This movie clearly not taking itself as seriously as other features in this series. But Ryan, what are you thinking?
Wait, but I do want to know. So the first one is supposed to be scary? So this is a series that at least set out that to be that?
I think the first one's a little scary. Yeah, I mean, he's
Scarier than this.
legitimately threatening. I mean, he's going to cut you up and take your gold. I think it's a little scary.
Uh-oh, not my gold. Yeah, this movie. Wow, I watched this for a podcast. That's something. God, I fucking hate this movie. I'm trying to think of a nice thing to say about it. It was 90 minutes. That was good.
It's funny. There's a bunch of funny stuff, at least in the first act, is funny. Like, Mac Daddy own asses. Yeah, because he's a pimp. So he owns asses. And it's a funny joke.
I did like they knew nothing about Jimi Hendrix, but they knew Onassis was Greek. You know, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But see, I think you have to be kind of smart to write as stupid as those characters were. You know, like, so it wasn't particularly lazy at the beginning, but I agree with what you're saying, Maynard. Is like towards the end, it just kind of started falling apart. You just kind of
I
had
didn't say
scenes
that
edited
yet.
together.
I didn't say that yet. I intended
That's
to
what
say
you
that.
well, you implied it heavily by saying that the first act was good.
No, I was talking about the first movie.
You said the first act of this film was fun.
Okay.
We're really off our game today.
I'm reading his mind. I'm using my
He's
leprechaun
trying,
powers.
but it's not working. But yeah, I do think the film loses what narrative thread it did have, and it's a thin thread. But it really, like, once the leprechaun gets his flute, like, they don't really know what to do, so they kind of kill off one of the friends, and it's like, okay, killed off your friend, so then they trick the leprechaun into smoking a 4-leaf clover, which is brilliant. But
that is funny.
And it's supposed to
that's a strong word to say.
Brilliant. I'll say it with a capital B and a capital L for some reason.
I'll give you a
brilliant.
capital B bullshit.
But then it's like, okay, if the leprechaun lost his powers, kill him. Kill him right now.
Yeah, I thought that was the point. You know,
crush his head in. They just want to take his flute and run away again. But I don't know. To me, the point is that it is supposed to be funny, and I do think I laughed a bunch. I think it succeeds at being funny. I think it's kind of stoner comedy, but I think there's a place for that.
Well, Ryan, you're the resident stoner
You're
here.
not a
That is
stoner.
true.
Ryan's
I am.
a pothead,
Unfortunately, I did
not a
not
stoner.
get stoned before I watched this. Would have helped.
It would have helped.
It also would help if I had friends to watch it with, but that's a little harder to get than weed, especially in California. Yeah.
The police are going after you now, Ryan.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even think it works as a stoner comedy. That's the problem. Is that at least stoner comedies have to have this kind of like base element of knowing basically what the gist is, but I really don't think that this movie is with it enough to actually get kind of to pull that across the line.
I would have liked to see the kills be gorier. This was not something brought up, but like as far as not scary, like there's really no violent kills. Like he explodes a couple of people's chests, but the rest of them are kind of like stabbings off camera and like a choking and a few chokings off camera. They're not that brutal. They should have been more entertaining, like they were in the first one when he's chasing someone around on a tricycle.
Yeah, I would have liked it better if it leaned into the horror element of horror comedy.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed that was not really an issue.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more just comedy or a fantasy comedy.
But not funny enough to be a comedy. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, maybe. And then as far as its portrayal of women, I mean, it's the leprechaun who's largely... Well, it's the leprechaun who's largely objectifying the women, and he is a bad character. In fact, almost every character's not nice. So their objectification of women it at least works in the terms of the universe of the film.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to root for anyone really, because like they do bust into Onassis' place and like they shoot him. You know, it's like they're just straight up criminals. There's no leprechaun in play at the time. Yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting point that they're like destroying their neighborhood. Maybe this is some deeper social commentary that involves Warwick Davis rapping in full makeup.
Well, I think the defense brought up kind of the deeper social commentary a bit, where it's like, how much is this Postmaster P willing to sell his soul to make it? I mean, he's not willing to do dirty rap in order to get a deal with Ice-T, but then he's soon willing to rob
and shoot him
and put his own life and his friends' lives in jeopardy in front of this leprechaun. And it really is a fall from grace, and it really is sort of a betrayal of self that the film has built up at that point.
Well, but that's kind of undercut at the end, where it turns out he's under the leprechaun spell.
That's only at the end. That's only at the
end.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm just saying he should have just been cahooting with the leprechaun at that point.
Actually, yes, it would have been a better twist if he takes down the glasses and his eyes are regular. And just like, that's what he did. He sacrificed all of his ideals to be a big star. I think that actually would have some kind of impact. But as it is, it's kind of like, oh, he's under the spell too? Okay.
Yeah, the leprechaun just wanted to have this guy be a rapper for him.
Yeah, okay. What a great ending.
All right, gentlemen, let's start locking in some votes. Someone who's not me, go first, because I'm the foreman.
Rob, go.
Why do I gotta go? Okay.
Because I said so.
Man, movie is kind of dumb, but it made me laugh more than it made Ryan laugh, I guess. And I'm kind of comparing it to other movies of that sort of genre, like other Chucky movies and other Leprechaun movies. And it is stupid. It knows it's stupid, but it's pretty funny when it wants to be, I think. So I'm going to go not guilty. It's not good. I just don't know if it gets dragged all the way to bad. So I'm going to go not guilty.
Huh.
Ryan Luis Rodriguez.
Guilty. Guilty, 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 guilty,
And just one more time.
guilty.
Oh, okay. Very good. This is tough for me because it's a bit of a hacker. It is, you know, you could definitely punch your hacker card with this. It's the 5th one in the series. It tries something really different, and it just
I like
does
that. Good point.
As different as going to space.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone went to space.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't done Hellraiser in the Hood. That's all I'm saying. Though,
Not that you know.
I think they have.
We should get Graham Skipper on the phone and answer this question.
Hood
Did
Raiser.
Hellraiser go to the Hood?
No, I've seen all
Yes.
the Hellraisers, and I can't remember. They might be in the Hood at one point. Hood Raiser, it'd be called, though.
Yeah, but I think this is one when you take the genre as a whole and you look at it, you know, it's just there's so much garbage and putrescence in this genre, and I think the performance of like Ice-T and Warwick Davis's makeup, there's enough there to get it to not guilty for me, so that's where I'm locking in.
Wow. We're really going to give Leprechaun in the Hood a nod guilt. Oh my God. This is going to be the episode where we're canceled. We're canceled for making the worst fucking decision we've ever made. Okay.
Oh,
well,
we've made
I can
we've
sleep
made-
knowing I made the right choice.
many
you can
worse
try
decisions.
to convince Dylan to go the other way.
Oh, there's no chance in hell that's going to happen. Once you're down the road of ill intentions, you're just down that road, baby.
Ill-intentions.
Well, let's go out there and tell that very handsome judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of the People versus Leprechaun in the Hood, we find the defendant guilty.
What, you see, switched his
You
vote.
Oh, wow. Twist ending.
Wait, did we? No, wait, no, not guilty. Son of a gun. My bad. Oh, shit.
Foreman, which is it?
Wait. I'm so sorry. Hold on a minute.
Your
I
Honor,
just-
another Foreman.
No, you're on the record. You're on the record. You said we found it guilty. That's how we found it.
Like Moonlight right now.
Son of
What
a
a
gun.
land situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think this calls for a mistrial, Your Honor.
Oh my God. Hold on a minute.
It
Objection.
may be a mistrial. Yes, the jury is suspect here.
One
hold on a minute.
juror is an idiot.
I'm getting the Hollywood Bars Association on the line.
Wait. I want to redo.
Which is it?
Ryan
Sorry,
Ryan
already on the
slipped
record.
me.
Ryan's
He
not
slipped
going to
me
let
the
you
wrong
redo
notes.
it now. Ryan's not
The
going to
verdict
be
is
guilty.
surrendered. The verdict is so rendered. It is guilty.
Yes,
And
it's
thank
too
God.
late.
Hey, what?
Yes, you fucked up. You said it's guilty. It's
You,
guilty
Conor
now.
McGiffin. Bless you for finding this film guilty. I, for one, will sleep soundly knowing that flesh is burning off its miserable bones in hell
Oh
each night.
shit.
Cast it into the depths. It is adjourned.
Oh.
Oh no! I don't feel good about this.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, that's the system. It works. He came out and he said the wrong thing. It's like the Academy Awards. You just have to stick with it now. You just have to go with it.
Wow.
Holy crap.
And that had to be a
It's-
Freudian slip.
Oh jeez.
It's like your moral compass couldn't quite let you do your duty.
Oh my God. What happened?
Unbelievable. I don't know.
I'm in a daze. What happened? Oh Jesus. Jesus Christ.
I am jazzed after all that.
This is Mumbly Mumberson from the Government Gazette reporting to you live from outside the Reels of Justice. Conor McGiffin, would you care to share your thoughts on the jury's verdict?
Thank you, Mumbleson. It's a pleasure to see you. I have to be honest. Though it was a win for justice, I do not feel good about it. I don't feel good about this. I believe Miss Marsh put on a much better case than I did, and we will be working. Our offices will be probably working closely together to make sure that this is overturned and make sure that people can believe in the system once more. That being said, Leprechaun in the Hood, it's not a great movie, so don't subject yourself to it. Any other questions?
No, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And here comes Emily Marsh. Excuse me, can we get a word on how you feel about today's verdict?
Travesty. What is this? Does justice not work anymore? Can we not have simple enjoyments anymore? No. Apparently movies have to be, coherent or, make sense. We can't just enjoy them. Obviously, this is not the end of this debate.
Well, thank you very much. It kind of is, though. That's all we have from the courthouse today.
Oh,
Well,
man. Schlenzo, you've never fucked up worse than that.
I'm resigning from the show, effective immediately. Ryan Luis Rodriguez will assume all my duties.
I already
You
do.
don't have
Open
any
if you guys
duties.
want one.
You had one job and you screwed it up.
That's why I'm leaving the show.
Oh,
It was a good run. It was a good run.
Is this the best way for? This is the closest we can come to a tie. Is it like we
I-
voted 2 not guilties, but
It's
delivered
true.
a
This is the
guilty
Freddy
verdict?
versus Jason ending, where Dylan is winking his eye as he says guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. It had
Oh
to
man,
be something.
I swear to I don't know what happened.
I don't
I'm
know
so
either.
Sorry. Because
Anyway.
everyone was quiet, and I'm like, I don't have any other lines, do I? I was like, what's the problem?
Anyway,
Oh, geez.
Emily, Connor,
Oh.
what has been keeping you busy lately? What have you guys been working on?
Oh my gosh. Connor, you want to go first?
No,
Only a couple
Emily,
things.
please, ladies first.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've been having the summer of our lives, going through some exquisite torture, watching some terrible, terrible movies for MST3K. So it has been a joy, and also just feeling like my brain is just mush at the end of every day, trying to make these movies funny. It is.
But out of the end of that torture has given birth to many diamonds, including the next full season of Mystery Science Theater 3000 coming to you from the Gizmoplex, a new streaming app that new episodes of MST3K, plus classics, plus shorts, plus live events will be emanating from. And Emily and I will be hitting the road this fall/winter for the Time Bubble Tour, where we get to watch Making Contact every night for 4 months. That's right. For you people,
Oh, geez.
we will watch Roland Emmerich's Making Contact about a boy, his mother, and a lot of milk.
Also, I would like to say this movie, Making Contact, has a ventriloquist dummy in it. And I do a lot of puppetry, so people assume that I like puppets in general. I actually was terrified of them as a child, and I am especially terrified of ventriloquist dummies. So I'm going to try playing it off every night, but I swear, I do not think, still by the end of 4 months, certain jump scares with that dummy are probably still going to get me every time.
Yeah,
So Connor, you have to hold my hand under the desk.
I will.
I know
Karen
the
just
tour
comes up beyond the desk and closes her eyes.
I'll throw one of the puppeteer hoods over you. It'll just be like, there, it's back.
Everything's
it's gone.
fine now.
It's gone. Shush.
No, I know the tour
Scrub
starts.
off.
It's starting. You guys are starting in York, Pennsylvania, right? And that's October the 30th.
Very soon.
Yep. Yeah, that's it because this is currently we're in October right now. That's just like a week away. Nudge.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely already October right now.
Yes.
Of course it is,
Yeah.
right, Rob? How could
Yep.
you possibly not mean it when you say it through gritted
I
teeth?
am saying it mumbly.
Wait.
Right,
So there are
right,
no
that's
Scottish
right.
leprechauns?
No,
That's
no,
right,
Leprechaun.
There's no Scottish leprechaun.
Those are dwarves, I told you. But yeah, also November 2nd, you'll be in Cleveland. November 4th, you'll be in Cincinnati. November 6th, you'll be in Rochester. November 7th, Washington, D.C. And if anyone else wants to know more dates and cities, they can go to mst3klive.com/events, like I did.
Are you still adding dates to this? Because I don't see Colorado on that list.
Oh, they hate Colorado. And they hate you, Ben.
Oh.
I believe we
true.
are still adding dates.
Yes.
That is correct. So nobody run out and start driving like 5 hours to get to somewhere. Just wait and see. Hold on.
They're gonna drive that far anyway, just so they can see it multiple times.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean,
We got
I
great
should
fans.
follow the tour around, like they
never
did.
mind.
Yeah, I
Best
know,
fans of the
Breaking
world,
Bad.
baby.
I know previous stores did a couple of movies, right? But this time you're saying it's all making contact.
All making contact
Just for
all the
Emily.
time.
Well, just for Emily and her doll phobia. That's
They're trying. Joel was so nice. He was trying to cure me of it. It's immersion therapy.
You must confront your fear.
did the same thing. I know that Jonah Ray has a fear of handguns, and Joel had a unique method to try to cure him of that as well. But
Oh no.
it is sad, isn't it? So season 13 has been announced now. I know they got Robot Wars has been announced, Demon Squad, and of course, finally, Gamera versus Jiger. Is that how I say it? I want to be careful.
I think so.
Yes,
Okay, good.
Mhm.
it is Jiger.
Good.
I pronounced it Higar a couple of times.
Higar.
That's the
A
correct
lot.
way. That's the cool way.
That's a cool way because I'm
Well,
a
I've seen that one
cinephile.
on Rift a few times, so I just can't remember the way they say it. But no, that'll be very cool. And I know we're all kind of waiting for the Gizmoplex's first thing to drop, but that could be any day now, considering we're in October. Ryan.
Mm.
Right, we're in
Mhm.
October, Rob.
I'm wearing a scarf.
Yes, but you wear those all year round. We don't.
Yeah,
like that
Dylan,
about
you wear them all the time.
Well, this one's wool, not silk.
Yes,
That's a
it's
good
silk.
point. I didn't think of
Yeah,
that.
silk, Ryan. So we look forward to that very much, and I know I'm going to go check out the live tour as well. I think we're going to stop by Boston. I think we've decided.
Yeah.
Yay!
And swing and ship on up to Boston,
Beantown.
Oh.
the city of sisterly love.
Yes, we'll be at the
so,
Wilbur Theater in Boston.
Yes,
Wilbur.
hmm and they have a garage, by the way. I know that they have a parking garage.
We were looking at
They
parking.
validate parking. These are the things I can tell you about the Wilbur Theater. Not on an episode of Ghost Hunters that I've seen yet. So we always ask for recommendations from our guests for a movie that you think people should see. So what is a spooky movie that you think people should check out?
Ooh.
Mm.
I'll go first. I would recommend for a good old-fashioned 80s horror movie, for anyone who hasn't seen it, watch Maximum Overdrive if you want to have a wild Halloween experience. That movie really takes the cake in terms of unexpected twists and performances that you really just can't look away from. You really wish you could, but you can't. And actually, the first time I ever watched that movie was because one of my professors was in that movie.
He was
Very
the trap.
proudly.
Oh,
Professor
cool.
Stephen King.
The Green Goblin was your professor?
Twist. Oh, you know how there's big bearded men in that movie? He was one of them. One of them.
He was
One
the
of the
biggest,
many.
biggest and beardiest.
So anyway, that's what I would highly recommend. I know I will be rewatching it as I do every year because I thoroughly enjoy that film.
And no ventriloquist dolls.
No ventriloquist dolls. None of that business.
None of that.
None
That's
of
my
it.
job. Not
That's a
in my
trigger
free
warning
time.
there.
Connor, what is your recommendation?
Well, I would also like to recommend another Stephen King property. This is from 1982. It's directed by George A. Romero, and it's called Creepshow. It is a very 80s horror movie of betrayal and gore and a love letter to the horror comics of the 50s and 60s, written by and directed by fans of said horror comics. So if you are a fan of Tales from the Crypt or its sister issues, or of the TV show from HBO, I couldn't recommend Stephen King and George A. Romero's Creepshow more. And if you're looking for a bad horror movie to watch the Mystery Science Theater episode of Pod People, because that's technically a horror movie, and it is bad.
Ooh, what about
Good
Hobgoblin?
Oh, Hobgoblins too. You know, if you want,
Hobgoblin.
here's what you do: you get together 3 hours of time, and you do a back-to-back viewing of Pod People and Hobgoblins, and then you drink Molson's until you pass out. That is a great way.
Why
But make
Molson?
sure you
Spend
wait
an
until you're
afternoon.
done watching both before you start drinking.
Yes,
I
hold
drink-
on through.
I save my Molsons for Final Sacrifice.
I wonder if there's beer on the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Big Ben, you were our big judge today. So, what is your recommendation?
I'm going to recommend the best werewolf
Recommend.
movie that you've probably never seen. I'm going to recommend the best werewolf movie that you've probably never seen, and that's 2017's Good Manners. It's a story told in 3 parts. The first part is kind of a slow burn drama about an impoverished nurse taking a job from a rich single pregnant woman, and they kind of begin a relationship. The twist is that the baby that the woman has is a dun-dun-dun werewolf. I won't spoil the rest of it for what happens, but as far as werewolf films go, it's a very fun watch.
Okay, when you said he took a job from her, I'm like, what? They were both up for the same job? She undercut her or something?
Yeah, that was the most tongue-twisted recommendation I've ever given. So you can edit, move my words around so it makes sense, Rob. You know what to do.
I'm not a miracle worker. Ryan, what is your spooky recommendation?
My spooky recommendation this week is not explicitly deemed a horror film, but it resonated like one for me, and that is 2018's Vox Lux. The less you know about it going in, the better. But let's just say that this is a dark and foreboding tale about a pop idol who rises to the top of the industry after benefiting from tragedies as devastating as school shootings and terrorist attacks, including 9/11. It's fucked up. It made me so anxious that I started biting my nails about 3 minutes in and did not let up for a good hour or so. So it's definitely going to be a film that is lingering in my subconscious for decades unless I fall victim to congestive heart failure sooner rather than later. You can stream it on Canopy. Support your local library.
Do you have any fingers left?
Oh yeah, just no nails.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably
It's grody. It's not good.
Schlenzo, you have to go last because you fucked up the verdict. So, this week I am recommending Lumberjack Man from 2015.
Yes.
This comedy slasher is about an undead lumberjack who murders naive teenagers so he can use their blood as syrup on his stack of enormous flapjacks, which he wheels around in a giant griddle. If he can finish his entire stack of flapjacks before Lent, he will become unstoppable. It's very violent and very silly and completely owns it. It features Brina Palencia, known for her prominent work in English dubs of anime, and Michael Madsen, who I assume was paid in scotch. Lumberjack Man isn't streaming for free anywhere at the moment, but is available for purchase in all the usual areas.
Dude, Adam Sessler is in it. You buried the lead.
I don't know. Sessler? I don't know.
Oh, people love the Sess. Don't mess with the Sess.
I will mess with the Sess. He's quite a mess. Schlenko, you can send us on home.
What? Someone was very excited about
I love me some Sessler.
Thank you. See, Connor gets it.
Well,
Come on,
Sess,
all right,
movie too,
let's go.
Connor. There you go.
Okay, so Irish horror is very niche, I assume. But there is Rawhead Rex, written and subsequently hated by Clive Barker. This movie features a gigantic demon traipsing about the countryside, murdering anybody and everybody. Barker's disappointment with this film inspired him to direct, and thus Hellraiser was born. So thank you, Rawhead Rex. Thank you very much for spawning a much, much better movie. But you know what? I'm not even done talking because you make me say this in the episode and you made me go last. But here we go. As we start to wind things down here, we'd like to remind our listeners that if you leave us an iTunes review and send us a screenshot of it on either Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook with the hashtag ROJ Reviews, you will be entered into an upcoming raffle for some really cool Reels of Justice swag.
And speaking of reviews, here's a great one. Quote, "My girlfriend sent me a link to the Aquaman episode, and I'm glad I stuck around. These guys are just wild and all about having fun." Disputed. Yep. The recommendations at the end are always good, too. Also disputed. From Girl in Denver. Thank you, Girl in Denver. I wonder where you're from. Now screenshot that review and shoot it to us on social medias with the hashtag ROJ Reviews and enter that raffle to get some free stuff.
Heck yeah. Emily, Connor, shouldn't everybody leave us reviews?
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely.
They don't even 100%. They don't even have to be good ones.
I don't even have iTunes.
Yeah, nobody has iTunes. That's half the problem. That's half the battle.
I know.
Well, hey, that girl.
Can you still do that?
Hey, Girl in Denver, look Ben up and show him how to set up an iTunes, and we'll get one more review.
Nice.
Hey, good point. Good point.
Make sure to get Apple Care too. It's really handy.
Oh, good tip.
Yeah, that is. And with that, we're all out of show for the week. But we want to thank our guests, Conor McGiffin and Emily Marsh, for joining us. Thank you, Connor and Emily.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yep, and we'll come see you on the live tour, and then of course we'll see you on all of the cool MST3K stuff that is dropping season 13 and beyond, because we know there'll be more. So excited for that. Looking forward to it. And hopefully we can get Gamera a Guardian of the Universe on like season 14. We can make it happen.
He's friend to children, after all.
Yes. Not in that one. Not in that one. He's not friends to anybody in that one.
Oh no.
Oh,
yeah, that's the first
moody
of the
camera.
Yeah, that's first of like the 90s era ones.
Oh.
They're actually pretty good movies. So very, very.
Camera
Jesus
listen to
figure
Nirvana.
Yes, he is. Camera. Yep, he starts wearing. He goes.
Smells like turtle spirit.
It smells like that. But with that, we hope everyone will join us again next time as well, as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Not guilty.
Turtles.
It's too late. It's too late. It's guilty.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.